Good evening, everyone. My name is Jorge Bartolome, and this is my Bernedoodle Santi. It's not very often that the both of us get to wear our tuxedos working from home. I am president of Janssen Canada, the pharmaceutical company of Johnson & Johnson. It is a pleasure to participate in this celebration of continued government and industry cooperation across our borders. With a historic pandemic impacting citizens on both sides of our border, we are proud to be guided by our values to put the needs and well-being of the people we serve first. During this crisis, we've mobilized quickly to ensure supply and access to our medicines, to provide support to frontline healthcare workers, and to enable relief to vulnerable patient populations. We're very proud to work with the government to ensure Canadian access to the Janssen COVID-19 vaccine. Collaborating with government and policymakers to address healthcare system challenges is critical. To that end, I couldn't be happier to introduce the accomplished Madam Ambassador Hillman, the first woman to be appointed Canada's ambassador to the United States. Ambassador Hillman's diplomacy and vision is a significant part of the solution to this common challenge we face. With that, please welcome Madam Ambassador Hillman.
Welcome, Ambassador Hillman. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to be here in your gorgeous embassy.
Thank you, Scotty, and thank you for coming here to our embassy, and thank you for inviting me to your virtual gala.
Absolutely, and we're so far away, but yet able to talk, so that's great. Let's start with what we're asking everybody. What's the state of the relationship currently, Ambassador?
The state of the relationship is good. I think it's fair to say, and it's no secret to anyone, that we've had, some ups and downs over the last few years. And specifically on the trade file, there were some challenging negotiations with the NAFTA, but the good news is that we came out with a really great agreement. And in doing so, we built some really strong relationships. I think that what happened through that process is that people had to focus on the relationship. They had to focus on why it mattered to them, and they had to focus on why they wanted to preserve it. And that has left a legacy for us in everything we've done since, in particular this COVID time. I think we've really drawn upon some of those deep friendships and sort of a reawakening of how important we are to each other as we've been trying to manage this really challenging time.
You mentioned the new agreement. Is it in full force yet? And what role do you expect it to play in the economic recovery that we're all going to have to be part of?
I think that what this particular moment in history has shown us with a global pandemic is that we all probably need to be paying attention to our resilience, to whether we're sufficiently resilient from a health perspective, health security, from an energy security, from an economic perspective, whether we are able to face a crisis like this. But I think the second thing that we've learned is that no country, not even the United States, can do it alone, that they have to face a moment like this with their partners. And the good news is that we did, right? We had an incredibly collaborative conversation around restricting travel at the border in order to protect our citizens. It's not easy, but it's working. We've had really good cooperation on supply chains and PPE production, but also just trade in PPEs. So it's shown that, when the chips are down, no matter what, we're there for each other.
Is there a moment that really stands out to you that's emblematic of this relationship that we share?
I was very privileged and very touched and very lucky to have hosted a very small event here at the embassy last fall for when the play Come From Away was opening here at the Kennedy Center. And so we had people come from Gander, we had people come from all over the United States who had been passengers on those planes. We had members of the administration, the Transportation Bureau, some retired traffic controllers, all people who had been directly involved in that day or those days. People shared their stories. They talked about what that day meant to them. And then we all went and we watched the play together. And I'm actually getting choked up just thinking about it now. It was remarkable because there were people in that room who lost people on 9/11. That evening was something I will never ever forget because I felt like I was allowed into this very special community of friends who are, I think, emblematic of the Canada-US relationship. It's full of love, it's full of mutual support. Sometimes there's some sadness in there, but we're family and we're deep, deep friends who are always there for each other.